Mr. James Woolsey, as the former head of the CIA, what would you recommend to Prime Minister Netanyahu on Iran's topic?
The most important thing I think Israel might be able to do would be to urge its friend and ally, the United States, to implement extremely tough sanctions on Iran, even if it can't get the approval of the United Nations. China is going to hold up anything significant in the Security Council, so we may as well understand that what we do is going to have to be just a few countries that agree on this. And what I think we ought to do, and Israel should urge on us, and other countries, Britain, Australia, et cetera, should urge on us, is for even a small group of countries to pull together with essentially a total economic boycott of anything remotely related to the Revolutionary Guard. That's about a third of the Iranian economy, because they've been taking over everything in sight. So it's not just their nuclear weapons program. It's just not just the so-called containment sanctions that ought to operate, but rather, for example, we should in the U.S. be refusing to let our banks have even a correspondent banking relationship with any bank anywhere in the world that does any kind of business with a big chunk of Iran. Now, if a bank is financing food shipments to Iran or pharmaceutical shipments to Iran, okay, fine. But if it's financing high technology equipment that might have dual use, if it's financing anything that might accrue to the benefit of the Revolutionary Guards, we ought to have a total economic boycott by those countries that are willing to join. And I think it's only with a combination of sanctions of that sort and steps to build up the morale of the wonderful and brave students and reformers and those that are getting tortured and killed in Evin prison and the rest. It's only by backing them that we have a chance of getting a change of regime in Tehran before they get a nuclear weapon. Be an alarm bell ringing in everyone's heads. I was testifying before a committee of the Congress a couple of years ago about global warming, climate change, and national security. And I think climate change is an issue and something we need to deal with. And one of the conservative congressmen was a little surprised because he thought he and I agreed on a lot of things, and we do on national security issues, but he was a little surprised to hear me talking about climate change and being worried about it. And so he was grilling me rather hard. And I said, Congressman, set aside climate change. I said, do you realize that all 7 of the programs I've proposed would make us more resilient against oil cutoffs and against terrorist attacks? And he said, oh, well, if you do them for that reason, then it's fine. What's interesting is that in the case of oil, a lot of the steps one would want to take to move away from emitting carbon dioxide and using oil the way we use it now with its monopoly over transportation are the same steps one would want to take in order to deal with the national security issues. Oil is the lifeblood of terrorism and of the hostility to Israel and to democracy. If the wonderful Iranian people and the reformers and the students and those who actually won the election last June win, before Iran gets a nuclear weapon, things could go considerably better in a lot of other areas, because that discredits radical Islam. It undercuts Iran's help for the Taliban. It undercuts their help for Hezbollah, their help for Hamas, all the rest. It discourages the Islamists on the Sunni side. What I think we ought to do is for even a small group of countries to pull together with essentially